to talk a little bit about institutional medical care. Now, all three members of my family, I'm the only surviving one, were in hospitals or nursing homes near the end of their lives, and I saw a lot. And I don't want to be too critical. There were, positive things that I definitely saw, but there were certainly some negative things that I witnessed that really made me realize that, above all, if you're a family member, if a loved one is in a hospital or nursing home, you have to advocate regularly in order to make sure that they get good quality care. Because these systems have inherent problems. The biggest one, of course, is that medical teams just keep shifting over and over again. You're dealing with different personnel. They read the charts, but some of them misinterpret the charts. They make mistakes in an interpretation. They make mistakes communicating with the family, and sometimes they have their own agenda. Sometimes they just want the patient to hurry up and move along, despite what the family wants, that is the power of attorney, and despite what the patient herself wants. In the case of my brother, he was a drinker. He had other problems too. He when he was finally admitted to a hospital for his final few months, his problem was not just with his liver, which was failing. It was also with severe malnutrition, and that in turn was connected to a lot of issues in the family that I'll have to deal with in some other post. In the case of my dad, he was admitted to the hospital. I begged him to call 911 because he couldn't make food for himself, and I was very, very alarmed. So when he arrived at emergency, they asked him if he was okay with invasive procedures, and he said no. That was marked down on his chart. He didn't really understand what he was saying. So a few days later, when I was talking to the medical team and we were discussing treatment options, the possibility of a feeding tube came up, and they just negated that. They said, no, your dad has said no to invasive procedures. It was a big, big struggle to get that feeding tube into him, and it worked. He lived almost another year more. In my mom's case, she was in and out of medical care, and it was very, very complicated, partly because my mother had a combination of dementia and mental health issues. She had very poor judgment. She lived in a fantasy world. She really didn't know what was in her best interests. And at the same time, the medical system would sometimes sort of acknowledge her point of view, making the argument that she was articulate enough to be deemed competent. That was when the medical team was hearing things that it wanted to hear. On other occasions, the medical teams, the nurses and the doctors would say to me, you have to make the decision, but they wouldn't give me all the information that I needed in order to make a really sort of top-notch decision. All these issues are significant, and they do have an impact on the longevity of people in medical institutions, and they certainly have an impact on family members, the surrounding family members, and the friends and various loved ones of the person in the facility.